Today we're celebrating the Feast of the Holy Family of Nazareth, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. And whenever we speak of the Holy Family or celebrate this feast, we might be tempted to, idealize this particular family unit. It reminds me of the story told of the Irish woman who had anything but the ideal family. She had 12 children ranging in age from 2 to 20 years of age, and a husband who had trouble keeping a job and also a problem with the drink, don't you know. This was all too much for this poor woman, and she found herself so often at her wit's end, frustrated by her obstreperous brood and exasperated by her no-good spouse. She would be angry, lose her temper, she would yell at her husband and her kids. One day she decided to try to change, and so she went off to church to go to confession. She began to tell the priest her problem, but the more she talked, the more aggravated she became. The priest listened to her pour out her woes, and then he began to offer her some advice. He suggested that perhaps she should take as her model the Holy Family of Nazareth, and he expounded on their familial values and virtues. He then said that perhaps she should try to model her life on the life of Mary, the Blessed Mother. Try to imitate Mary's patience, her understanding, her gentleness, her kindness. When he paused, he could hear the woman under her breath muttering, "The Holy Family, them and their one." As long as we idealize the Holy Family, then they can become distant and irrelevant. However, the glimpses we get into the home of Nazareth assures us that as our families struggle, so too did the Holy Family. It's not a secret that Mary was pregnant before she got married, surely no less of a social problem in the first century than it is today. Additionally, in Matthew's gospel, we learn that the Holy Family was an exile family, living as refugees in a strange land, as are millions of families in our own time. The scene in today's gospel of the presentation in the temple must have provoked turmoil in Mary and Joseph to hear Simeon proclaim that Jesus would be, quote, a sign that would be contradicted. And when Jesus was 12 years old, he disappeared on a family trip to Jerusalem for Passover, which the scriptures say filled Mary with great anxiety. Michael Sandman, a minister in Kansas City, observes that, quote, this Holy Family will defy expectations. Instead of domestic bliss and familial abundance, we find images of humble poverty, of a mother's heart pierced by suffering, of a sign of contradiction that will be violently opposed. And yet family life, even in the best of times, is an abundance of love and an abundance of vulnerability born from that love. Sandham continues, what parents haven't had their heart pierced with love or concern for their children? Who hasn't felt the utter poverty of being unable to protect children from all that fills a frightening world? To love is to be vulnerable to suffering, and parenting elicits a primal, wild kind of love. Now, there is an ancient Chinese proverb which wisely says, nobody's family can hang a sign outside their house saying, nothing the matter here. That holds true for the Holy Family at Nazareth and for every family struggling to survive today. Jesus comes to give us peace, joy, and love, but he also comes to give us work to do, to care for our family, for our immediate family, but also for the human family. There are so many of our sisters and brothers who are without families, the millions of refugees who have been torn from their homes, children whose parents have been lost in the horrors of endless wars, teenagers who have become victims of human trafficking. Remembering them, we must commit ourselves this day to working for providing healing and hope for all God's children. Another family to consider is Mother Earth. It was St. Francis of Assisi who perhaps taught us most concretely how we are related to the earth as our mother and to all creatures, not just our fellow human beings, but all creatures on it as our sisters and brothers. This precious planet and all life on it is in such danger from abuse and exploitation. The countless species that become extinct every year, the climate changes that are forever altering the face of the home for this family of earth. This family is in desperate need of protection. We must commit ourselves this feast of the Holy Family to work to become wiser and more just stewards of the earth and of our entire extended family on it. A third family to consider is the church. In fact, earlier generations referred to the church as Holy Mother the Church. We have seen firsthand how this family has been abused by the very ones who were responsible for its well-being, the clergy who committed egregious acts, and the hierarchy who enabled them and then covered up their crimes. So many people have expressed their sadness and their pain, saying they can no longer be part of a community that is so mired in scandal and sin. Two things must be said. First, thank you for joining us this day and for having the courage to be part of this family whose ideals and visions have been so challenged and corrupted. Secondly, the church is not the clergy or the hierarchy. The church is the people of God. The church is you. You are the church. You are the family of God. For the sake of the family of the church, you must speak out. You must act out. You are the hope for the future. You are the only way in which the church can be healed. We must commit ourselves to the work of healing the church. Finally, a last family, our eternal family. The family that has gone before us in faith, members of our birth family, our chosen families, the family of saints who have all gone to prepare a place for us and are awaiting our homecoming. The family where God, who is both Father and Mother to us all, will welcome us home, heal all our wounds, and love us with the complete and total love that our hearts were made for and for which we are always longing. This is the promise and gift of the Feast of the Holy Family for us. Hope and healing for our families, our family homes, our family of the earth, our family of the church, and the complete peace, joy, and love with our eternal family in our eternal home. And when we approach those pearly gates, we can be certain that the sign hanging there will read, "Nothing the matter here."